unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio program, and I am, of course, your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Might even take a few telephone calls here tonight. In the unlikely event that I do, the telephone number is 646-787-1933. That is 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program, I'm going to be discussing a few things in particular here. First of all, what I want to do is, of course, address last night's program here. I am going to be dealing with, I needed to go back and take care of correcting an edit on it there. So I'm definitely going to be doing that as well. So I am going to be correcting that. That'll be up here tonight, so don't worry about it. I just want to make sure that I've got everything on the correct. We had some issues last night, so we'll make sure that that's correct on that. We'll make sure that that's correct on it. But I do want to make sure that those things are correct and are proper for that, so it's going to be important to make sure I have all of that together. There are other issues that are being dealt with as well, so please make sure you stick with us on that. That's going to be something that we are going to need to have here also. Few things in particular that I want to discuss here tonight. Couple of things on my mind. And the folks on from last night do represent California. Yes, they do. Don't say that. Yes, the people on from last night do very accurately represent California. So, yes. Before we go any further. With all the things that are going on here, the subject of unity comes up. And you have to remember that it was the Black Channel that set the tone for how we discuss unity in black society today. We set the tone for it that all others have followed at this point because we were the first to tell people. I had a video that I did where I told people to hell with black unity. That I am not the least bit interested in pursuing so-called black unity. Because if, quote, black unity means that I gotta get along with everybody. So I gotta get along with Sheriff David Clark, Stacey Dash, and Omarosa, and Charles Barkley. No, to hell with black unity. But increasingly, we are having to correct ourselves because when you hear the words feminist, that is another term for traitor. These are individuals who see themselves as agents undermining the rest of black society. And we've got to call it directly for what it is. But they see themselves as directly challenging the rest of us, that they want personal benefits for themselves at the expense of the group. And that's the very definition of treason when you are saying what benefits you is more important than what benefits the group. So when you hear that feminist thing and individuals falling in line with that, understand they're following white mommy and white daddy. And we have not said enough We as black people have not dealt enough about the white female supremacist and how they are used as a Trojan horse for the purposes of misleading black society and misleading everyone else. We here at the Black Channel were the first ones to tell you that the terms Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, those terms are irrelevant to black people. Absolutely irrelevant. These are terms made by white society for white society in reference to white society. But they have no meaning for black people. These were not terms that we created. And because they are not terms that we created, they are not terms that actually have any relevance to us. That's why. And when you hear the terms feminist, that is a term that black people did not create. And just like the Democrats and Republicans, there is no Democratic Party or Republican Party. There is the white supremacist Democrat Party and the white supremacist Republican Party. There are no liberals and conservatives. There are white supremacist liberals and white supremacist conservatives. And that's really what you're making your choices between. These are competing groups of white supremacists. They are not competing to destroy white supremacy. They are simply competing over which strategy will be utilized in order to promote and forward white supremacy. If you saw the movie Race War that we produced here at Black Channel Films, a work that will go down in history for its accuracy and efficacy, as you saw two white supremacists, Jared Taylor and Richard Spencer, both who are at odds. They are not at odds over whether there will be white supremacy. They are not at odds over whether or not there should be white supremacy. They are simply at odds about which tactics and strategy is best with which to forward white supremacy. Should we have militant white supremacy where we are confrontational at every single turn, or should we have subtle white supremacy where we gently nudge and maneuver the society in that direction? Which one do you choose? It's simply a debate over tactics, not over the goal. All it is a debate over tactics, and black folk are trying to choose which tactic we would like to promote best. Do you promote the Republicans who say that we want all black people executed? We want capital punishment against all black people? Or do you vote for the Democrats who say, no, capital punishment of all black people, that's wrong, that's not what you do. Life sentences for all black people. Be jailed for life, that is the way to go. So black folk are sitting there saying, electric chair or life in solitary confinement. Let me think it over. Let me figure out which one of these is the best one. And there's where we get caught. There's where we get played for a fool. There's where we get played for suckers. Right there. The broadcast is on tonight here. Please do make sure that you let other people know. I know it's football Sunday. A lot of folks out there are cooning and buffooning, acting like things are different, but we are here on the job, and this is what we do. I want to thank my man Jason Reed very much for this right here. There is this white woman who is a writer, one of these conservative authors, D.C. McAllister. And I wanted to take a little bit of a look into this because I had posted this on my Facebook page, and it was one of these things where I was looking at it and I said, there's something that I think is really worth investigating further here. I want to show you the quote that really got everybody's attention. I want to show the quote that really got everybody's attention because it was one of these things where it gives you an idea of how bold they're getting with it here, but also how bold they are getting about pimp slapping their black female shills. It gives you an idea of how bold they are getting about it. That they are letting you know that they are white first. And that you are the fool and the lackey. And I want you to take a look at this quote that is sitting on your screen right now. I want you to take a look at it. And this is what she said on her Twitter page here. Anti-white woman rhetoric is revving up by black women and it's getting ugly. This was an inevitable outcome of intersectionality. Well, as black women were led into it for the gay agenda, now you've got half of black women who have engaged in a same-sex sexual act by the time they're 30. Thing is, they have a surprise coming. Now, let me tell you something, people. When a white person tells black people you got a surprise coming, that is a threat. That's a threat. That's a threat. Because we have never seen a, quote, surprise that has been foretold to us by white society that did not end up in black people being physically harmed or killed. She next says, white women aren't going to cower to white guilt. We just see another woman dissing us and we'll fight back. Well, there goes your female coalition. So far we have witnessed the death of the Black Asian coalition. We have witnessed the death of the Black and Brown coalition. And now you are witnessing the death of the Black female, white female coalition. And all of these people, your attempts at building coalitions have all died on the exact same battlefield. They have died from the exact same cause. That these other groups have absolutely no interest whatsoever in promoting black people's interests for any reason. For any reason at all, they've got no interest in doing it. As soon as you start talking about what's in black people's interests, all of a sudden they start telling you, yeah, we're not interested in that. Not interested in that at all. You start finding out real quickly just how weak you are. Real fast. These are your friends. These are your supposed friends. These are your supposed buddies here. These are your supposed pals. These are the ones that you were going to replace black men with. You were going to get sustenance and support from these other people. Remember? That's what you were going to do. Have you forgotten? Oh, sure. Let me go ahead and just give you a brief reminder here because I would not want you to forget. I wouldn't want that to become forgotten by you. Remember, I put this up just a couple of weeks ago here. Isn't this interesting that the white women are pulling rank? The white women are pulling rank. The white women are letting you know it's not black men that they're concerned about. It is white supremacy. White women are pulling rank. They're pulling rank everywhere you go now. They are not going to allow you to create a black agenda. They're not going to do that for you here. They are not going to sit up here and assist you in creating a black agenda. And they're making it very clear from the beginning that we are not going to discuss anything. We're not going to discuss anything until we talk about how white women are going to turn out in this thing. We don't want to discuss anything except how white women are going to do. Not interested at all. Not interested at all. And black folk, and particularly black women, did not get the memo. You didn't get the memo, and now everybody is looking extra stupid and dumb right now. And this is a bad look. And I'd almost like to tell you that this is as bad as it gets, but no, this is actually not as bad as it gets. Not actually as bad as it gets at all, because you thought to yourselves that you were going to pull the same thing that they did. You thought that you were going to pull that hat trick the way that they did. You thought that you were going to pull that sleight of hand the way that they did, and that you were going to be able to get individual benefits for yourselves the way that they do for themselves, and that's not what's going to happen here. If you'll all remember, and remember the Black Channel was the first to remind you of this, there are a lot of people getting their wake-up calls about this. Now, here's a pathetic excuse for a feminist. Pathetic excuse for a feminist. Your good friend here, Tarana Burke, the woman who is credited with starting the so-called Me Too movement, hashtag, etc. Yeah, she thought it was going to turn out one way, and then it turned out another, and she's sat back here and realized that the white women have saved all the benefits for themselves. The white women stepped in and sucked up all the benefits for themselves. Poor little Tarana thought that she was going to be able to use this thing to get herself a leg up, and all she really did was help these other people to get themselves in a better position. And man, oh man, now she's saying, don't forget about the poor folks. What she really means is, don't forget about me. Because you see, you helped them to come up, but now they're helping you to go down. As I pointed out to you all here, if you all wonder, are there any tangible benefits to being a part of the Me Too movement? Yes, there are, just not for black women. Gotta do a brief reminder for you here. If you'll remember, a couple of months ago, CBS, here's the headline right here. You can all go look it up. $20 million. The Me Too movement has generated $20 million so far, but white folk are saying, by the way, we're going to tell you who is the Me Too movement. Do you think that Tarana Burke is going to get a dime of that? Do you think that this woman is going to get a dime of the money from this corporation? $20 million. When CBS said Me Too, do you think they were talking about you too, Tarana? Do you think they were talking about you? I've always told you to follow the money, because this is where empowerment lies. The Black Channel was the place that told you, what is it that black people want? We want black empowerment. How do you define black empowerment? Dollars. We define black empowerment as dollars. And when it comes to the point where your life will change, when it comes to the point that you will now be able to call your own shots because you are not financially dependent on someone else, all of a sudden they hit the brakes on you. Oh, all they're going to do is hand over the money from the male white supremacists, from the male white supremacist to the female white supremacist. And of course, that money will simply make its way back around. That's it. It'll just make its way back around. So a lot of folks are finding themselves without a chair when the music stops, as the white supremacist feminist movement is baring its claws, it's baring its fangs, and letting you know that you're not going to be running any part of this. There is no way that a bunch of white women who know that they are in the superior socioeconomic position are going to sit back here and say, we are going to help black women to become our social superiors. Now, listen to some more of the logic here that this DC McAllister is using. By the way, I also wanted you to take a look at a couple of things on here. We're going to take a look at some view counts in just a moment. We're going to take a look at some view counts here in just a moment so you can get some idea of exactly what that is. But she says, if we're going to measure oppression by economic struggles, then what of white poverty? Many born of Southern sharecroppers facing a poverty greater than freed slaves. Is this oppression? Brothers and sisters, this is just the real-time fabrication of a history that simply did not occur. The real-time fabrication of a history that simply did not and does not exist. It didn't exist and it doesn't exist. It didn't exist and it does not exist. But here she is. And by the way, let me show you another picture of her here. I wanted you to see this because this is something that I've stated to people before and I wanted them to have an idea. This is her right here. This is her. This is the woman who's been saying this stuff. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to understand something as far as what it is that these individuals are really after. I wanted you to have some idea about this. And I wanted you to see who you are up against. And that's important to me here because I want you to realize that this is going to be the fight that you're going to be undergoing now for a while. This is going to be the fight that you are going to be undergoing now for the next generation. These are not a bunch of senior citizens saying this stuff. These aren't a bunch of senior citizens saying this stuff. These are middle age and Gen X saying these kinds of things. I want you to understand that you are not at the beginning of the end from the last 160, 400 years. Brothers and sisters, we're only entering the end of the beginning. This is what we're up against. And yes, her statement about poor whites being better than freed slaves. Show me the white people who were lynched. Show me the white people who were systematically, who had to suffer from 12 years a slave where people could just sit up here and tell them you're a runaway slave and put you back into slavery. Show me the white people who had to endure that. Show me the white people who were deprived of their human rights. Show me the white people whose wealth was unable to secure their human rights. Because what she will not sit here and acknowledge is that she's talking about white folk who had better standing and who had more access to wealth than black people. So what she's saying is a fabricated lie, but it's not for your consumption. It's not for your consumption. This is for the consumption of other white supremacists so that they can all keep fighting. As Dr. John Henrik Clarke said, the white society understands the need to pass on narrative. They understand the need to pass on legend, even if it is a lie. She's not saying this because she believes it's historically factual or accurate. She's saying it because she meant what she said before. This is about protecting her status as a white woman. The very fact that she's trying to talk down to people shows you she sees herself in the pecking order as being on top and the rest of you are below. And what she sees is a situation where black people, in the form of black women, don't seem quite subservient enough, so white mommy is letting you know that you are out of place, you are out of line, you are out of pocket, and that she is displeased because they are accustomed to the idea that when white mommy tells you she is displeased, then you fall back into line. That your goal becomes pleasing them. This is what black society, and specific for this conversation, black females, have taught white women. Is that black women value white women's approval above and beyond their own survival. So she's testing it out to see how much of a bedwench spirit most black women have, and if they will knuckle under to white mommy's wishes. That's what this is about. Can we get you to knuckle under to what it is that white mommy demands? And I want you to be very well aware that these are nothing but threats. These are nothing but threats. And it gets worse, of course. Of course it gets worse. Because as black people, we haven't taught them that there are consequences for that. She made this statement: if you want to understand why blacks aren't oppressed in America today and why I'm not racist for challenging the black community to couple responsibility with their freedom and stop spreading white guilt, I challenge you to read Shame by Shelby Steele. Now, for those of you who don't know who Shelby Steele is, this is one of these so-called black conservatives who they use. If you think that these coons and turncoats are harmless, if you think that they are harmless, take a look at this woman's tweet where she's sitting here trying to encourage other white supremacists and say, look, even their own people say that this is true. Now, even though you're arguing against the people in the same statement that you're saying that they say it's true, she's holding up one of their black shills, one of their black slaves, one of their black henchmen to sit here and repeat what she says. While at the same time, so that's supposed to give you the idea that black society agrees with this, while she just told you that black society does not. This is how serious the war against black people's interests is. I want you to understand that this is how serious the war against our interests is. This is how seriously they take it. This is how seriously they are looking at it. I've always told you that they see it as nothing less than a fight for survival. And here's your evidence of it. Here's your evidence. I'm going to open up the telephone lines here tonight. If you are a white feminist, you can give us a call. If you're a white supremacist, you can give us a call. If you just don't agree with what you've heard, you can give us a call. Do not go in the chat room to disagree. The telephone lines are now open. The purpose, if you want dissent, there's a telephone number you can call so you can be heard by everybody. There's a telephone number to call, and that number is 646-787-1933. That is 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the Blackest Radio program in existence. And this is a situation where I want you all to understand this is not harmless. This is not harmless behavior. This is not a situation where they say these things and it happens in a vacuum. That's not what occurs. That's not what occurs at all. This is a situation where we as black people, I want you to be aware that by them propping up these so-called black feminists out here, that these individuals like the Tarana Burks, they're dangerous. And they are dangerous because they are propping up white mommy and white daddy to do their bidding. That is what makes the Tarana Burks dangerous. They are dangerous because they embolden the Alyssa Milanos and the DC McAllisters and their ilk. So they've got us separated. They've got us divided with individuals chasing this mythical magic carpet called black feminism. And you are never going to escape the black part. You're trying to join hands and lock arms with people who understand that if you as a black, that the power that white women have does not come from their gender, it comes from their race. White women understand that the power that they have does not originate from their gender, it originates from their race, which is why Alyssa Milano is telling black women that you need to condemn a black man, Farrakhan, for speaking out against white supremacy. That's in order to send the signal that you all are accepting that the women's so-called movement is not going to threaten white supremacy in any way. White women want you to help them, to aid and abet and assist them at wresting control of power away from white men, not because they don't want white supremacy, but because the white women believe that they are better suited to accomplish the goal of maintaining a permanent white socioeconomic majority. White women simply believe that they would be better at maintaining the system. Take a look at the so-called anti-crime tactics of Newt Gingrich, and then go take a look at Hillary and Bill Clinton. Hillary was as ruthless as the men were. Hillary was as cold and heartless as the white males were. Hillary was as determined to show that she was as cutthroat as they were. And that she wasn't going to settle for second place. It is not that they do not believe in white supremacy. They want to set the tone from the beginning that this so-called women's movement will not threaten the status quo. That there's not going to be a threat to it. No threats whatsoever. And every time you see this happen, every time you see some group of soggy, moist males sit up here and tell you what they're going to do to assist this and to help this, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. And it already is one. It already is. Because right now, instead of focusing on a black agenda, which is the only way you're going to get free, it is the only way that we are going to make any real changes, rather than focusing on a black agenda, we are instead focusing on figuring out if we can become better acquainted with people who do not have our interests at heart. And they've already got the groundwork. Do you realize the audacity that this woman has to put up a post like this? Can you imagine the audacity that she must possess to feel like she could competently put up a post like this. Do you realize that? Do you realize just how comfortable with her white supremacy that she is to feel that she could have the gall to put up a post like this? Think about that. Think about that. As black people, could we sit up here and expect to wag our fingers at white folk and say, see, here's a white person who agrees with us? You see, we haven't cultivated white coons. We haven't done that. We haven't cultivated that. They're letting you know that they got the coons on deck and that is going to be what they are backing. And the fact that she knows that they've got ready-made shills that they're able to call up like Domino's Pizza. Do you understand the gall that she's got to have to sit up here and do something like that? Do you understand the gall she's got to possess? The fearlessness that she's got to have in order to do that? And this should give you some idea of what we can expect in the future. This should just give you some idea of what's coming in the future. I told you all that before, as their numbers drop in this society, you are going to see them reverting back to the way things were when their numbers were lower. As their population numbers drop lower, they have to create an atmosphere because they know that you understand that numerically they don't have the numbers. So what they're going to have to do is rely on something else. To keep you in line is going to rely on something other than their population numbers. That is going to have to rely on intimidation. It is going to have to rely on guile. It's going to have to rely on deceit. It is going to have to rely on bribing individuals. It's going to have to rely on cultivating collaborators. It's going to have to rely on those things. It's going to have to rely on that. There were people that when I predicted that Donald Trump was going to sweep to the White House, I've got not one but two broadcasts, one that predicted it and another one that told you the states he was going to win, and the majority of that prediction about the states was dead on. And if you wondered how it was that I came to that conclusion, I came to that conclusion because I studied the society and I studied the people. I studied the society, I studied the people, and it was very clear that what was happening. And right now, Trump is the front runner to win re-election. Trump is the front runner to win re-election. If you all think that these stories about black folk running for the governor of Georgia and Florida, if you think that the newspapers are supportive of that, you are insane, foolish, and stupid. They are not supportive of that. They're sounding the damn alarms. When Stacey Abrams was running for governor of Georgia, they were talking about it every day. Stacey Abrams could be the first black governor of Georgia. Stacey Abrams could be first black governor of Georgia. Stacey Abrams, this heifer could be the first black governor of Georgia. Soon as she lost the election, even though she was still challenging it, they immediately stopped talking about her. Did you see how they pulled that hat trick on you? You thought they were talking about her because they were letting you know how glad they were. This would be great if she could win. They were sounding the damn alarms and you didn't even notice it. They were sitting here sounding the alarms on Andrew Gillum, and you didn't even know. If you didn't believe it when Neely Fuller said the white supremacists take both sides of an issue, White supremacists take both sides of an argument. So if Abrams had won, they have an LGBTQ first individual. And if she loses, which is what they really wanted, then you've maintained the status quo. Either way it goes, you are still in the driver's seat. Either way it goes, you're still in the driver's seat. You all saw those articles and didn't even really realize, by the way, they're sounding an alarm. You thought these are your good white liberal friends telling everybody how great it'll be to have some negress lording over them. Right in front of your faces and still didn't see it. We're going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines for you here right now. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackchannel.net radio program. If you are listening to us live right now, if you're listening, you like the program, don't be lazy like your parents. You can go ahead and click like. Because if you're still here, you obviously like it. Go ahead and click the like button. That helps us on YouTube for rankings and being shared and everything else. So definitely go ahead and click the like button. We don't want Jesse Lee Peterson getting shared more than us now, do we? Let me get caller from 470. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Jason, hi. First time caller, long time listener. Joe out of Atlanta.
Okay, you said Jill?
Joseph out of Atlanta.
Joseph out of Atlanta, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, proud supporter of race war films. Thank you for updating me with all the receipts, brother. But my question to you is, as you mentioned, the white population dropping, do you think that they're being correct with our number, our population at 13%, or are we higher? And also, Neely Fuller also states that we need to replace white supremacy with justice. And when I started to dissect that, they don't want to replace this, not even liberal white, conservative white. They want to keep this thing going. So what would be the ultimate solution for us to be able to really fix the issue of racism that plagues us day to day? And thanks for taking my call.
Okay, well, hold on just a moment because I have some questions. First of all, do you have any empirical evidence that we are not 13% of the national population?
I do not.
Okay. So before you can dispute a number, you have first got to have independent, empirical, calculated, tangible evidence, quantifiable proof that the first number that you were given is not accurate. We can't just say it's an unpleasant reality and I don't like it. Can't say that. Second thing I would tell you is, brother, I have literally driven. I have flown across this country from coast to coast. I've flown from Virginia to Los Angeles. I've flown from California to New York. So I have flown it. I've driven it. The only thing I haven't done is biked it and walked it. I have been from coast to coast across this country. I have gone to entire states where I didn't see a black person. When I went through New Mexico, I didn't see a single black person. Now, I haven't posted this for you all to see, but when I went through New Mexico, I put up the signs of entering New Mexico and leaving. I stopped, drove around. You see Native Americans, you see Latinos, which, by the way, there's crossing over there. You see some white folk. You didn't see any black people. When you go to West Texas, take a look at how large Texas is. Take a look at Dallas, Houston, Austin, and then take a look how large Texas is. When you go to West Texas, there aren't any black people out there. When you go to El Paso, Texas, there are none, not a zero. I felt very nervous in El Paso, Texas. It was nothing. Let me say the word again, nothing but Latinos in El Paso. Nothing. Keep going through Arizona. I saw 3 black people, one at the McDonald's and one at the Circle K, and there might have been one near the hotel. That was it. When you go to California, and when you drive on Interstate 10 coming through California, through Indio and Desert Cities and Palm Springs and all that, ain't no black folk out there. You don't see any black people in Los Angeles. Unless you're in, I mean, we can narrow it down, but unless you're talking about places like Riverside, San Bernardino, Compton to a smaller degree, that's mostly Latinos now. Let's talk about going up into Oregon and Washington. So those statements of questioning that's only given by black folk who haven't traveled and haven't seen anything. Go to the Dakotas. North and South Dakota, ain't no black folk there. Iowa, Idaho, ain't no black folk there. Indiana, other than Indianapolis, there's no black folk there. You go outside of Indianapolis or Gary, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, go outside of those, your black population vanishes. So if you're a black, most black people in America live in major urban areas. Atlanta, DC, Houston. You get the idea. So we're talking to people who live in these, you think because you live in a quote big city that it must be that way everywhere else. Atlanta is a I call them deserts, okay? Islands. Atlanta is an island. If you leave Atlanta and go out to Augusta, the black population falls off when you go out there. I'm not saying it's all white, but if you just go out to Augusta, your black population vanishes. I know, I just came back from there. You go to Columbus. When you get around them golf courses and whatnot, your black population vanishes. If you're not in that Atlanta metroplex, do you realize the state of Georgia is this big and Atlanta is this big? And we get you outside of that Atlanta area and you realize the rest of the state, if you're just myopic, you're like the frog that fell in the well and all you can see of the world is this little small hole at the top of the well and you figure that's the world? Yeah, if you think that's the world, yeah. That's the way black people see things. It's like we're at the bottom of a well and all we see is that circle at the top of the well and we figure that's that little blue circle that's the world. They figure that's the world. But no, outside of those metroplexes, there is no black population. There is none.
Well, Augusta, brother, I think Augusta's over 50% black.
Okay, this is a trap that we tend to fall into as black people. This is a trap that we tend to fall into. Black people tend to think that because they see black people, that number one, they see black residents, and number two, remember what I told you all about last night. How much socioeconomic real estate do they own?
Oh, I don't know that, but I know like in Douglasville, Augusta, and those heavier pockets.
The only black folk I saw in
the only black folk I saw in
Augusta. Okay, the only black folk I saw in Augusta was at the Walmart. The only black folk I saw in Augusta was at the Walmart. And by the way, same thing in Metairie. Same thing. Forgive me if I'm getting that wrong. I want to say it's Metairie. If I'm messing that up right now, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone. But that should be in Metairie, where they got McDonnell. I think it's McDonnell Air Force Base. When you go out there, only thing that you see there, only black folk you saw there were at the Walmart. That's it. We as black people are counting those areas, but like I say, that's not actually what's going on. That is not actually what's going on. So, Marietta, thank you for correcting me on that. I was about to say Marietta. I don't know why I was saying that. But in Marietta, only place you saw black folk out there was around the Walmart. Let's go to the places where that are actually going to sustain a population, all of a sudden we disappear. So we can count some urban areas. You can count that Atlanta area, but brother, I can take you to whole halves of whole states where you will either see no black people at all, or at best, you will see a handful. That's it. So we're hanging our hat on things that do not sustain us. The truth of the matter is, outside those population areas, that's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Well, with that being said, I think that white supremacy does a over job on focusing on us as their main threat, even though we can genetically annihilate them. Only being 13% of the population. They do they spend the majority of their time focused on us.
Yeah, but that's smart marketing.
So if we're only 13%,
but that's smart marketing. Racism is a product. It has to be packaged and marketed. The reason why Joseph Goebbels was a master communicator was because he gave the majority white population of Germany something to focus their attention towards. It didn't matter that the Jewish population was so small as to be insignificant. It gave them something to focus their hatred and their energies at. It gave them something to rally around. Fantastic marketing. It's for marketing purposes.
Wow.
Judge Joe Brown in our documentary Race War, if you hadn't seen Race War, brother, I'm glad you contributed, but if you haven't seen it, you missed a lot, because in Race War, he talked about this, where he said that, and we're going to have this on the 3-disc version, I'm going to have the full commentary there, where he talked about how in Konrad Lorenz, a Jewish psychologist, had talked about how in Eastern Europe, in European countries, they make scapegoats of foreigners. In America, they make scapegoats of black people. And that the reason for that is because with black people, you have a readily identifiable scapegoat. I didn't get to put this in the movie, but it'll probably be in the 3-disc version, where he said, I call it the 2-block rule, is what Joe Brown said. I call it the 2-block rule. 2 blocks away, if you see a white person, an Asian, an Arab, a Jew, a Latino, white Hispanic, you can't tell what they are from 2 blocks away. But if you see a black person from 2 blocks away, you can readily identify him. You can readily identify black people from 2 blocks away. So do you realize how easy it is to get a group of people to unite against you? Because everybody knows you when they see you. They can spot you from blocks away. You are a readily identifiable target that even the dumbest bastard in the room can recognize and identify if you ask him. Did you see a black man today? And Bubba from East Georgia can immediately tell you, yes, I do. This is what Joseph Goebbels relied on when he talked about the big lie. He said that you have to repeat it over and over and over and continue to repeat it over and over again, quote, so that even the biggest dullard in the room gets it. And they have marketed.
Wow, that answers my next question.
They have marketed black people as the enemy, quote, the problem, and everything else. They have identified us so well and so readily and marketed us for so long, completely disconnected from reality, to the point that everybody can recognize us. Everybody. They all see us. Everybody. They recognize us. So that makes it very easy to unite them. Even if the fact that they never come into physical contact with us, most white people like Richard Spencer, he doesn't come into contact with black people on a daily or weekly basis. The only time he encounters black people is either on the internet or for an interview. And that's it. but he's telling you that he's losing something to a group of people that he doesn't even meet or encounter. So he can't be saying that for his own benefit. He's got to be saying that for something else. That's the whole point. And that's not just relegated or limited to him, that we're dealing with a societal level strategy. We're dealing with a systemic level strategy. This has always been the strategy. That's it. That's the point I'm trying to make.
No, and lastly, before you answer the last question I gave you with Neely Fuller, the solution of ending racism and replacing it with justice, Ben Shapiro right now is going on a college-wide tour. And I had a chance to look at, some of his talking points, when he was at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And, I'm watching him give this talk, and he's just throwing out lies. Kind of covertly about, black affirmative action. Oh, black, because black students get into the college to affirmative action. I'm just like blatantly throwing out lies. And so what would you suggest? Because I will be at the University of Memphis during his next lecture. And I want to go, but he has a way of using trickery to really, baffle people in his audience. What would be some, powerful and impactful questions to ask somebody like that who's so crafty?
Well, where Ben is concerned, I'm not really sure it would depend on what they're talking about there at the time. I can't really predict what that would be.
Well, he goes in about black people, just about crime and affirmative action, which I'm just like, that's
well, if you want to, if you want to deal with the crime issue, what you do is remind them that let's take a look at the arrest statistics, not the conviction rates, because the conviction rate tells you what happens after white people have exercised their privilege at the prosecutor's office. Take a look at the FBI stats and you'll see that the arrest rates, the rates at which police are called out and people are arrested, are almost exactly in line with each racial group's percentage of the population. Where the numbers change radically is when we look at the conviction rates. When it's time for the prosecutors to put white people in jail, all of a sudden it becomes about intervention. All of a sudden it becomes about interdiction. All of a sudden it becomes about deflection. It becomes about rehab. It becomes about drugs are no longer a criminal issue. They're a social issue. They're a public health issue. Things like that. So, if you want to debunk that, just ask them about drugs. Why is it that we're not mass incarcerating white people for the opioid epidemic right now? There's a good place to start. The opioid epidemic is far larger than the crack epidemic ever was, and yet there are no calls for mass incarceration. And then you have to remember, they're actually building safe-to-use sites around the country now. Why is it that if we're not dealing with systemic racism, why is it that there's such, historically, white people use cocaine, black people use rock cocaine, and yet it's always been that rock cocaine is somehow needs to be dealt with far differently. For white people, it's rehab. For black people, it's mass incarceration. For black people, it's 3 strikes. So if you want to talk about that, you can talk about the FBI arrest stats, not the conviction stats. They're trying to pull a sleight of hand. And then ask them about why are we not mass incarcerating white folk for this opioid epidemic? Why are we not treating doctors, for example? This is a lot to lay on you, but you can listen to this later. But when it comes to black,
I'm listening.
When black males, when they want to get black males as drug dealers, they come and take all your stuff because you're dealing drugs. Why are we not arresting doctors and taking their Mercedes and their Porsches and their houses as being part of illegal drug proceeds? Why are we not treating the doctors who behave as drug dealers for opioids the same way that we do black males in the inner city? Why are we not doing that? And why is Ben Shapiro not insisting that we do it? If he's not racist and totally fair, why is he not insisting that we do it? Where is he to demand? We got the numbers that show the disparity. Where is he to insist and to help us to mass incarcerate white people for using opioids now? It's time for their mass incarceration. Their numbers far outstrip ours now. Where's the mass incarceration? Where's the mass incarceration? So you can shut him down very easily with just that. Now, I don't know how much they'll allow you to pursue the questioning and pin him down on it, but you can, that right there, that's it. He'll be done. He'll be done.
Jason, well, look, man, you're always on point. You're A1.
Oh, yeah, one other thing, since I got you on the phone here, if anybody tries to tell you about black people, and Ben Shapiro tries to do that veiled, coded black crime is related to genetics. Anybody who tries to tell you that black crime is related to genetics and white people are not like that, I got 3 words for you: the 5 points. And if you don't know about the 5 points, brother, go online, look it up. You can look it up in YouTube videos. Take a look at the history of the 5 points in New York. Take a look at the history of it. And then
history of the 5 points.
The history of the 5 points in New York. Go take a look at it. Go take a look at it. And then that will explain to you everything that you need to know to debunk the myth, the white supremacist talking point, that crime is related to genetics. Get him to explain the 5 points in New York. Go learn the history of it. Get him to explain that. If it's about genetics and is not about socioeconomic conditions, then explain to me the 5 points. And by the way, you should all know the 5 points is just one. We can go to several other places in this country. The 5 points is just one. We can talk about Philadelphia if you'd like to. The 5 points is just one. Just one. But go look into that, brother. You got some boning up to do on that before you try to go take him on. Craig Boston also. Thank you very much. Whitey Bulger, when we talk about the white gangs, they were killing folk all over the damn. Whitey Bulger wasn't in jail for what, a good year? Whitey Bulger wasn't in jail for a good year before he got taken out. Wasn't in jail for a good year before he got taken out. The brother also asked a second question there. He asked a second question about about what Neely Fuller says about justice. You all know where I stand on that. Give me black empowerment. I'll create my own justice. That's the way it works. Caller from 909. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, Mr. Black. This is Brandon from California.
Brandon from California. What's on your mind?
Yes. First, I'd like to thank you for the information you deliver. I've been listening to you for a while, and it's been very valuable in my understanding. After doing a lot of research myself, historical research, I'd like your thoughts on the only solution to the end of global white supremacy I see is not black economics, because ultimately, even if we create businesses, they own the money, they own the banks that will lend us money. But just like the settlers in 1776 decided to have a revolution against the Queen, the only solution to black liberation is a revolution. And I don't hear a lot of people coming to that conclusion. We continue this thing of, well, let's just start black businesses and all this. There will be no end without a revolution. I like your thoughts.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question then so you can educate me, because I'm one of these people who says that everything begins with economics. My first question to you is, can you explain to me, and since you stated this, that means you need to explain it. Can you explain to me exactly how we're going to finance the revolution if our economics are not in order?
Okay. The reality is that anyone who has a job in this country, and most of us do, could legally buy firearms. And as Malcolm X talked about, guerrilla warfare.
Okay, but you do understand that just like you gave the metaphor, the analogy with the money, they're going to control the money. So who are you going to buy, quote, these guns and ammunition from? Because the same folk who make the money, those are also the same people who make the guns and the bullets. So since you got a job with them, where are you going to get the guns and the ammunition from? Since those are the people who make them.
Okay. Well, you are correct in your assessment in the sense of, obviously the system has made it where everything we receive, whether it's banking or whether it's, a legal firearm, whether it is a home, we have to receive it from the white system. My point is just very simply, playing within their game.
Okay, brother. Well, no, we're not going to do that. We are not going to do that. You raised an objection.
Okay.
You need to explain it. Otherwise, you're just crying out for attention, and we don't do that. I asked you a specific question.
Okay.
You raised the statement that what we can do, every black person got a job, get you a handgun against people with M16s. But all right, in this mythical world, okay, fine.
No.
Sir, stop.
My point,
stop talking. Brandon, stop talking.
You're,
this is California again. Stop talking. You said for every black person needs to get a gun because you got a job. I don't know how much ammunition you're going to buy with that, but okay. And I asked you, well, do you think, you said that your objection to using economics was, well, they own the money, which what you mean is, well, they'll just cut off the money supply. Well, then if they see a bunch of black folk buying weapons, they'll just cut off the weapons supply. So you haven't explained where are we going to get weapons from once those people stop arming us. Now what?
Excellent question. First of all, are you familiar with the zebra murders that took place?
Wow. Okay, brother, I'm asking you to answer a question and understand you're destroying the lack of logic of your own statements now, because otherwise you would have just simply answered the question, which you did. You tried the best you could, swinging in the dark. And by the way, for all the females listening, I sympathize with you all. California, California, California. In any case here,
there's no need to disrespect me because
sir,
you disagree. I'm not disrespecting you.
Nobody's disrespecting you.
Nobody's
disrespecting you. I'm telling the truth here, and you feel bad about it because you don't you're now realizing, you didn't really think any of this through.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, how are we going to arm ourselves when these people start saying that they're going to deny us weapons like you said they would deny us money? How are we going to make up for that?
Okay, so you're not going to let me say what
all I
I'm
want
saying.
you to do is answer the question. That's it. Don't give me any backstories. Just answer the question. How are we going to arm ourselves if they decide not to give us any more weapons like you said they would not give us money? How are we going to get weapons if they deny us money?
Let me tell you. First of all, if black people developed a Nat Turner ideology, he was outgunned and outweaponed. He used sticks. He used homemade weapons.
And how'd that turn out?
What I'm saying to you,
no, stop. Okay, I need Negroes not to hit the pipe before they call in. How'd that turn out? You raised Nat Turner. How did that turn out?
Nat Turner his rebellion led to the end of slavery, along with John Brown's rebellion.
Nat Turner's rebellion led to the end of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hang up the phone.
Okay. So you're just going to con black people.
Hang up the phone now. You're done. Get your bath salts. Hang up the phone. You're done. Black women in California, this is the level of black male running around California. He has no answers. He doesn't have rational thought. He's walking up to grown people speaking in this way. Walking up to grown people talking in this way. You're standing in the presence of grown people presenting us fictional responses. This is the reason right here when you sit here around black women in California, if you want to know, hey, I'm being totally honest with you right now. Let me just be totally honest. Can I just be totally honest and put it on y'all's ass and people ain't gonna like it? If you want to know why it is that you've got so many black women who feel like they got to rely on white women, because that was the caliber of black male running around California. And he is indicative of California, Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit. You heard the one last night. He told us the automotive industry is the biggest one in America, is the biggest industry in the world. This is what we're up against. This is what we're up against. I'm not saying that I agree with the behavior, but when that fella, if you are a black woman in California and you want a better life and you understand that we are undergoing economic warfare and you want a black man who can sensibly and rationally lead you, and this guy sat here and just told you what you all just heard, as a black woman, how can you have confidence in that? How can you have confidence in that after what you just heard? How do you maintain confidence? How do you do that? Brothers, we got to have a gut check. We got to have a gut check. We got to have a gut check. This guy just told you that he's going to win a revolution against, first of all, let's be very clear. Nat Turner's revolt definitely overthrew the family. Sure. But as far as that being a major event that changed the status quo, no, that wasn't it. But Jason, yes. But Jason, yes. But Jason, yes. What about Haiti? If you'll all remember, yes, the Haitians did throw off the colonial powers. But remember, they had to pay France a tax for their own freedom for over a century. Why? Because they were not sure if they were going to be able to sustain an ongoing military assault on them. Ultimately, it came down to economics. Now, do you all believe that the largest, most powerful military power on earth today is going to be susceptible to urban warfare, particularly when black folk live in the urban areas, but only the white people are training for urban warfare? Let me say that again. Only black people are talking about urban warfare, but only white people are training for urban warfare. Do you understand that? Black folk, it would be crazy for us to talk about urban warfare. The only folk training to shoot people in an urban environment is white society. That's why that shooting in California the shooting in California, that guy had trained for it. The one in Las Vegas, he had trained for it. The ones in Texas at these churches, at that Kroger's, that's urban warfare. That's not some Negro raised by some slutty ass hood rat upset with somebody for sleeping with his hood rat ass hoe girlfriend. These are fellas who went to the gun range and trained, and their goal was to walk off into an urban environment of soft, unarmed targets and murder as many of them as humanly possible. And because they don't live near black people, they don't really have the ability to slaughter black people in mass. But remember, the one in Kentucky, he first went to a black church to start the slaughter. But the doors were physically locked and he was unable to get in. So he went down the street to the Kroger's and started the massacre there. Dylan Roof fancied himself some urban revolutionary. And his first step after that was to go into a church. That's urban warfare. And the only people who are not training for that type of thing, black folk are the only ones not training for it. But you want me to believe that listening to that guy, we're going to be ready for that? No, we can go down the damn line. No, we can do that. It won't work. Not even close. It won't work. It won't work. So, ladies, I feel your pain. Ladies, I feel your pain. You got fellas talking irrational pie in the sky talk about things that they are completely unable to do. And yes, it was outrageous for him to say, well, the proof that we can have a revolution today is that Nat Turner was fighting with sticks and stones. Negro, if you don't stop talking crazy. This guy literally sat here and said that the means by which they fought Nat Turner's rebellion and the Haitian Revolution, that's what we can do now. Yes, this clown said we can use sticks and stones. That is literally the military training and the military tools that he's saying we can use. That black people, 40 million of us, are going to be able to knock off 10 times that many people, at least 9 times. Because, by the way, the other groups are going to join them. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't know that? The other groups are going to join them. The other groups are not going to just sit back and say, well, black folk, handle your business. The other groups are going to join them. The other groups, you're going to go to the Arab liquor store or the Asian convenience store, and as soon as you walk in, they're going to get on the phone and be telling the police, yeah, I see one of the revolutionaries here. I see one of them. And a black woman who is looking to be free, she's going to hear that clown say what he said. And it is going to be ridiculous. How is a woman supposed to have faith in males who are detached from reality and riddled with cowardice? That was, if you want to know why I said that we're done in California, and I said it 7 years ago, that's why. If you want to know why I said we're done in California, that's why. Caller from 213, you're on live with the Black Channel. Okay, he is out to lunch. Caller from 224, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, how you doing, Jason? It's Antoine from Evansville, Illinois.
Antoine from Illinois, what's on your mind?
Man, brother, you just stole my thunder on that one. But basically, I was going to just echo what you're saying in so many words, is that your revolution going to have to kind of start economically. For the most part, man, I think, when you don't have the Harriet Tubmans out there, and I remember a quote that she said that she had freed over 1,000 slaves and would have freed another 1,000 had they know they were slaves. But, I mean, that was just being nice because the simple fact, a lot of them knew they were slaves. They was very comfortable with being that. And so from an economical standpoint, if you have your own business, man, the type of vigor and the type of tenacity you got to do that, and the financial liberty you got to have as far as being able to make and sustain your own income, man, that's just, it's liberating within itself. So to go to that extent, man, it's not far to go from that to being able to defend yourself against white supremacy. Whereas if you had a job and you're just comfortable being there, and I see a lot of guys that got great ideas, they don't even have the confidence to even go off into it because they just cowards, and that's just being honest.
And that was what you heard on that call. Because that's a black male coping mechanism. When we're talking about what we can do, but what you know you aren't able to do. So instead, you want to fantasize about some liberation fantasy where you've got fictional guns and fictional bombs and you got this Rambo fantasy running on in your mind. Oh yeah, and by the way, you have no intention of doing it. So what will actually help us, he's not doing it and coming up with excuses for why he doesn't have to do it. And the thing that's not going to happen to help us all, that's the thing he says we need to do. And oh yeah, he has no intention of doing it at all. So even what he was suggesting, he doesn't have any intention of acting on it. And all of this is for the purposes of avoiding and circumventing the only thing that will help us. You've never seen a successful revolution that did not have funding, and that includes the Haitian Revolution. You never saw one that didn't have funding and resources poured into it. He told you, well, you can't rely on money because they own the money. Well, they also own the guns and the bullets. So explain to me how you're going to get access to guns and bullets if they have the ability to deprive you access to money. Well, you see Nat Turner with the sticks and stones. Okay.
And might I add, brother, I mean, if you really want to look at it, the American Revolution, they had certain economical resources as far as over at the land that were viable to other countries.
Oh, it was more than that. More than that.
You wouldn't have had American
No,
Revolution
the American Revolution, for those of you who don't know about your history and whatnot, the American Revolution, you had cascading groups who were helping the Americans. Because remember, the so-called American Revolution, as we call it American Revolution, was actually a British Civil War. British expatriates who had been sent from Britain to America, they set up shop, and after they ran out the Spaniards and the French from these various areas, they set up shop. So you had, in situations like, I believe, France, they were helping to fund the revolutionaries over here, because this was a game that a lot of them were playing. Other countries were helping in Haiti because they knew it was dragging resources on France. They were dragging resources. Britain wanted to make sure that France lost in Haiti. Britain couldn't win it, but they wanted to make sure that France lost in Haiti. So it was in their interest to make sure that the Haitians didn't lose, because that was putting a drag on France. It put such a heavy drag on France that eventually it wound up giving up pretty much their holdings in America, the Louisiana Purchase. We thought that they thought they were going to get New Orleans and wound up getting a third of the continental space. So this is a game that has been played throughout history. When one country goes to war, you help the revolutionaries over there to drag him down. It doesn't cost you any people. You can spend a little bit of money. Most likely you want to send some guns, because that doesn't really, you always got excess guns. And you can always show those other people how to arm themselves or get more of that if you're dealing with muskets, which are single fire weapons. But you help arm them, you help give them a little resources to drag these other folk down. That's a long time ploy that's been used. It's still in effect today. Take a look at Syria. Take a look at Iran. Take a look at Iraq. These proxy wars, which is what we call them today. Now, back then, they didn't call it a proxy war, but today we call them proxy wars. And you had several of the founding fathers, I forget his name off the top of my head. I can name some names right now, but there were a couple of them. It's a kind of tragic story, depending on which side of history you're on. Yes, the Germans in Haiti as well. It's kind of a tragic story in that there were a couple of millionaires who had helped to fund the American Revolution. They spent their entire life savings. They spent everything that they had funding the American Revolution. From an economic standpoint, if there had not been money, they would not have been able to win. You're not going to win a revolution without economy. And even in the case of Haiti, they were able to win the war, but they had to buy the peace. Let me say that again. They were able to win the war, but they had to buy the peace. And the last 100+ years of economic servitude to France is a testament to the fact they had to buy the peace. Because France was like, okay, if you don't do what we want, we're going to wait 5 or 10 years and we're just going to come back at you. And we'll just keep doing this. And yeah, we might lose, but we're going to give you a hell of a lot of problems until we do. I'll let you have the last word.
Thanks for the history lesson, brother. I'm still listening in to you. And the thing, I guess, that, well, it don't concern me, but, dealing with white supremacy, it's a lifelong battle. And not only is it a lifelong battle, our generation may not get it. And I think with the next generations coming up, they ain't going to have no choice but to be entrepreneurs and to be self-employed, because they're gearing it to a point where it's almost from a labor standpoint, they don't need them as much. So it'll be vital. And I mean, in our generation, we got more educated people than previous generations. And the employment level is lesser than it was with people that were less educated. So these generations coming up, they definitely going to have to be entrepreneurs, and they may need to learn a little bit more about military sciences as well. So Black first, brother, that's all I got to say.
Black first, brother, thank you very much for giving this call here tonight. Yes, absolutely. In Haiti, the military, or their ability to fight the war, that won the war, but you had to buy the peace. If you don't buy the war, you will have to buy the peace. Actually, truth be told, you'll either buy the war and buy the peace, or you can fight the war, but at some point, your economics are what are going to maintain the peace. And these black males who don't have any answers are instead resorting to fantasy talk. Fantasy talk. And nobody can sit here and rely on that. Caller from 510, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, hi. Is this Jason Black?
Yes, this is. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from California, in the Southern California area. We just did a protest. I'm a nurse, and I just want you to just go check out our videos.
It's slow down here. Hey, we're not here to posters.
Okay.
I don't know who you are, so I'm not here to boost videos from somebody I don't know.
Oh, okay. I just sent you one anyway. I just sent one to your page. Okay, thanks.
Okay, you're a nutcase. California. The bath salts and if you all thought the problem was relegated to just the black males, no, the problem is not relegated to just the black males. No, it's not. California is a generally wacky place, and Texas, all these reprobates leaving California because they can't afford to stay there. Just understand, whack jobs like her and the others, they're on their way. They're coming by the thousands. This army of deviants coming by the thousands. To a civilized city near you, here come the barbarians. Caller from 269, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi, this is Quan calling from Grand Rapids.
Quan from Grand Rapids, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I have an interest in a business idea. I swear I invented Angie's List before Angie's List was brought out to the public. But it would be sort of like a Rolodex for black construction companies. I believe that black construction companies have a stigma about them. And I'm originally from Detroit, and I was kind of looking out for my brother, and they kind of ran me around the ropes. So I would like to build a where maybe the people that are good business people can be rewarded and the bad people can be punished. And so the way that it would work would be the reviews.
Brother,
I really don't know much about having a website.
Okay, brother.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not even understanding what the point of this call is. I really don't.
Well, I was talking about a business, like a black business to support black businesses, particularly black construction businesses.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that. I think I marginally understand what you're getting at. I don't have a problem with that, but we need our black construction businesses to do what they're supposed to do in the first place. Here's the reason why so many black people think that we need a black business directory. Here's the problem with a black business directory. The problem with a black business directory is when you try to do business with the black businesses. If you run your company correctly and competently, and you are the best in town, you don't need a business directory to stay viable. People are going to be flooding business your way. The word of mouth, everybody's going to know who you are. Bad Boy Records doesn't need a black business directory. Rockefeller doesn't need a black business directory. FUBU, back in the day, didn't need a black business directory. So the reason we keep talking about that is because we think a black business directory is going to help us to circumvent actually running the business properly. I don't think it's a matter of knowing where the businesses are. And it's not really a matter of doing business with black folk to that extent. I mean, that's definitely a factor. I don't want to say it's not, because it is. Absolutely. But by the same token, brother, I can't tell you how many problems I've had with black contractors. A black business directory is not going to help that. It does no good for us to have a list of black contractors and construction companies if they do shoddy work or if they don't show up at all. And I submit to you that that is the core of the issue. You wouldn't need the directory if the brothers with their trucks were doing things properly. If black folk can find Latinos, they can find other black folk. The problem comes if you pay them on Friday, God help you getting them to come back Monday. Now, we need to deal with that, because I see a bunch of people trying to talk about black business directories and things, and they're operating under the assumption that, well, if more black folk knew where the black businesses are, without ever actually talking about what happens when we get there. So we need competence. I think that it's more important to have a competent business than it is to know where the business is.
Well, I don't think the directory would be the sole purpose of the business or a business. It's just a service. It's a service that I would use. The reviews and the people saying, hey, I did business with this contractor and he's a good business person. I think that would enhance competition, which I'm a supporter of. And I don't think contractors have the money for the ads and all that, you know.
But why? No, sir, that's not true. Not true. That's just, now that one, I won't let that one go. It's just not true. It's not, that's just untrue. They don't have the money, because if they were actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, they would have it. We're making up excuses for why they don't. Don't tell me that this guy is the best in town and is running a competent business, and yet he doesn't have the money. If he's the best in town and he's running a good business, he's got the money. Now, if he doesn't have the money, then either he's not the best in town or he's not doing good business. That's just it. That's just it. Because every single black person listening to me right now who's a homeowner has tried to get a black contractor to do what they're supposed to be doing. And all of us have horror stories from a group of people who don't really have the luxury of giving us horror stories. Every black homeowner listening to me right now has a horror story about a black plumber. I'm talking about one who's supposed to be licensed. I'm not talking about Hootie James you all got from down the street. A black plumber, a black contractor who didn't do what they were supposed to do. In a situation where you don't really have the ability to rack up horror stories. So you don't need a business. I mean, brother, listen to what you're saying. The Latinos and the Mexicans, the illegals, they can't be on Angie's List. They can't be on Yelp. How is it that they are doing good out here, and yet black folk who live in the nation, all of a sudden we need Angie's List and Yelp? Why is it the illegals don't? Why is that?
Well, me I'm a construction manager by profession, and I moved to Grand Rapids from Detroit.
Okay,
you know,
that's good.
It would just be a resource for me to just know who's who and not have to give them my money before I find out how good they are in business.
I agree.
So if that is a step to giving people business. You say, hey, let me see some work that you've done.
I agree.
That's the step.
I agree with you totally.
Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with that totally, but I don't think you need Angie's List I don't think you need an Angie's List or a Yelp to be able to do that. I think once you find them, I mean, that's called.
Well, I was thinking about starting my own specifically for,
okay,
my people.
I think. Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's a niche product. If you're talking about construction is very important. It's also very good to have access to that. I don't have a problem with it. I think that's good for a niche product. Here's what I think you should do, okay? What you should do is, if you've got the time and want to dedicate the resources to it, and it doesn't require a whole bunch of knowledge about that, to be totally honest. I mean, if you want to, to set up if you know about websites and stuff, you don't really need to know about websites, but if you really want to know, brother, you can go online and look up Craigslist clone. And you can get.
Say it again, Craigslist.
I mean, they make websites that are called clones. And I'm giving him just one example. So all the folks out there who want to try to quibble over and whatnot, I mean, this is just one example. I want to make it very easy. But they've got websites that are called clones. They've got YouTube clones. They got Facebook clones. It shouldn't be very hard to find a Craigslist clone. Now, from there, it just depends on how much you want to put into this and to be able to get together the number of names and things. But I don't see how you're going to get a website really going unless you can advertise for it to be able to get people, because you want people to come there and leave their suggestions, references, so on and so forth. So at some point, somebody's going to have to put some money into this thing to make it work. So build it and they will come is not going to happen.
I understand.
So even if you had a free website, you're going to have to let people know that this is the spot to come to if you're looking for a construction contractor. Now, maybe that involves working with Home Depot. I know they've gotten real bad about not wanting to refer people anymore. I know that. Maybe it involves working with them or seeing if you can, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it involves working with the trade schools or whatever. Get the best students out of that class and be like, okay, we'll list them here. I don't know. But somebody's going to have to invest in this, man. Even if your website is the best idea ever, somebody's going to have to put some money into this to let people know, hey, this is the spot. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of investing. And there's a lot of legwork and there's work to be done, and I understand that. I appreciate you for your advice, brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time here, or for your call, whatever. I mean, definitely, I'm not going to shoot the idea down. I'm just like, okay, once we get the list, what we're going to do then, definitely. He doesn't know a lot about websites. You can make a Craigslist clone or something like that. You can do that. Let me get caller from 954. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, how you doing, Jason? This is Alvin calling from Broward County.
Okay, what's your name again?
Yes. Yeah, my name is Alvin Gracie. I'm calling from Broward County.
All right, Alvin.
And,
Alvin, where at
yes.
in Broward County, sir?
Broward, Florida.
Okay, I'm going to try
County,
this.
Florida.
I'm going to try this one more time. What city are you in?
Broward County. That's Pompano Beach. It's the same thing.
Okay, because one's a county,
Broward.
one's a county, one's a city, sir.
Yeah, it's the same.
All right, what would you like to talk about?
The same thing.
What would you like to talk about, sir?
Well, I was just wanted to talk about with the revolution. If we were to have a revolution, will we have to have some type of civil war within our own people to get the sellouts out of the way, and how will we finance that?
Okay. If you don't have the financing, then it is irrational and pointless to even use the word revolution, because you don't have a revolution until you have the financing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was just saying, how would we finance like that type of revolution to get the sellouts out? That's what I was saying.
How do you finance it? I mean, like anything else, you're going to have to build an economy. Economies overthrow other economies. America's got an economy. Iraq had an economy. America's economy was bigger, and it overthrows Iraq's. Now you got, just like in Vietnam, a bigger economy overthrows a smaller one. Now you got McDonald's and KFC in Vietnam. That's the way it works. So a bigger economy is going to overthrow a smaller one.
I get what you're saying.
They just use guns to do it. Now, in corporate America, if one company wants to overthrow another company, it's a hostile takeover. Only you're going to use your dollars and junk bonds or a stock buyout or a leverage buyout or whatever. You're going to use your money for a hostile takeover. Whereas when nations do it, they go after people with their guns instead. That's all.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Thank you very much for giving us a call.
Thank you for taking my call.
People, let's be prepared. No, Broward County is not an appropriate answer if someone asks you where you're calling from. Not your county. What is your city? I don't care what the local custom is. If you're not illiterate, you understand that. When you write people a letter, you aren't right telling them the return address is a county. Let's not talk silly. Well, this will be interesting. Caller from 888. What would you like?
Yes. Hello, Jason.
Take your phone off speaker.
Okay, Jason, I'm very upset about the comment that you just made.
Slow down. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Michelle, and I'm calling from Minneapolis.
Hello, Michelle from Minneapolis. Eminem, what's on your mind?
Well, I run a program. I have a business.
Congratulations.
In fact, two of them. And one of them is for black-owned businesses.
Great.
And I did leave you some comments in your chat there. You know, there's businesses of all types that are bad. So for you to tell that brother just now that you've had bad black contractors, I've had bad white contractors.
What's your point?
My point is that you cannot talk pro-black but have those negative stereotypes about your black businesses.
That's not a stereotype.
Because that's the problem that black businesses deal with right now. I deal with black businesses almost every day.
That wasn't what I said.
And for you to say that negativity
Michelle,
is no good.
Michelle, that was not what I said, so you're lying. Or you're just dumb. But that wasn't even what I said. So you're arguing against...
I heard what you said.
No, Michelle. Okay, but you didn't repeat what I just said now. What you just said was not what I said, ma'am. So you're either a liar or stupid, one or the other. But that wasn't even what I said, so I don't know what you're arguing against. Well, you're one or the other because I didn't say any of that.
I'm very intelligent. I've been on a business for over 25 years.
Why are you screeching like a banshee?
I deal with black businesses all the time because I am so tired of the negativity.
Okay, lower your voice. Lower your voice now.
All your listeners that you support black businesses.
Michelle, I'll say this. Michelle, I'll say this one last time. I know in hood rat society you screech and yell like banshees and whores. You can't do that here. Lower your voice or I will jack your ass out the door. Did you get that?
That's fine. I can lower my voice.
Okay, no. Not you can lower it. You will lower it.
Okay, master.
All right, dumbass. Now, moving right along here, for the ADHD students in the room, I did not say anything of the like that this clown said, and everybody else has already heard that. What I stated was that before you can give black people a black business directory, you're going to have to make sure that where you're going is a reliable source. It would be insane for a moron or an idiot, even from Minneapolis, to say that we should simply support a business because they're black. Yeah, that's cute. We need to support competent
Minneapolis,
businesses.
I traveled all over this country, and I lived in Dallas for 10 years, my brother. I have lived many different places in this country. You're not going to sit up here and talk to me like that, okay?
Do you see how emotionally out of control you are?
Negativity that you're showing. When you're okay until you start talking about black businesses that way.
Do you see how emotionally out of control this individual is, by the way?
Holiday season that we're in right now. All of you people need to buy black.
I mean, can you imagine any man attempting to lead this shrew?
But you had a bad experience with some sort of contractor. There's white contractors that don't show up. There's Mexican contractors that don't do their damn.
Can you imagine, like, being married to this? For any real length of time?
All right, I'm done.
Could you imagine this being your jump off? Forget your girlfriend and your wife. Could you imagine this being the jump off?
I can't understand you. The phone's too foggy.
Like, I mean, a Negro would have to just, like, she's just there for the night, not even the weekend. It's just, you couldn't even hold on to this for any real length of time. Have you ever had to have sex with cotton in your ears?
I don't understand you. Listen here. You need to invest into a mixer. Because then you can get these calls and we blog talk alone, Jason. Okay? Now I'm going to hang up. I can't hear a damn thing you're saying. Goodbye.
Could you all imagine having to have sex with cotton in your ears? Could you imagine that? I mean, the only way that a fella could get with her is if he had cotton in his ears. Because, like, you just don't want to hear it. Not at all. Not at all. Now, by the way, one other thing. Will someone please explain to me why anybody would want to listen to any suggestion she's got to say? Did she even strike you as somebody you would want to listen to? At all? Did she even strike you as somebody you would even want to hear say anything? Oh, by the way, sounds very familiar too, by the way, doesn't it? Sisters, you got to understand, you are not going to be able to badger men into doing what you want. And this idea that if you call them and shriek and yell, that's going to get you what you want. No. You're not going to be able to yell and shriek and squeal, and that's going to get you what you want. But the fact that she did it does tell you that they're used to other people doing it. They are used to other people doing it and knuckling under. They are used to it. She started yelling, and they said another thing. And the very bit I used to live in Dallas, Texas, and you can't tell anybody. Who the hell would do business with her? Would someone explain to me who in the hell would possibly do business with her for any reason? I own a business. What business do you own, damn it? A horn shop? What business do you own? A bird cage? I can't imagine what business she would be in that anybody would want to listen. I can't imagine it. Can't imagine it. What business do you all think she runs? I want to know, what business do you all think she runs? I'd like to find out. If you all think she runs a business, what business do you think it is? What, you think she runs a kazoo store? What you need to do, that's not the way you talk to people. You don't talk to him like that. Okay, wow. And another thing, damn you, Jason Black, you weren't it. Okay, hell. Ma'am. No, I didn't cut her off. I let her keep speaking. Just saying. Caller from 240, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, can you hear me properly?
Yes, we can. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Ted from Potomac, Maryland.
Okay, what was your name again?
10.
10.
Yeah.
Like the number 10?
Yeah, TENN.
Interesting. And what's on your mind, 10?
Well, two things. One is a question, and the phone is kind of going in and out.
Your phone is muddled as hell. You might want to get it out from under your chin.
Sorry, say it again?
Okay, thanks for removing your phone from your chin. What did you want to say?
Yes, let's just say black people as a whole, obviously not everyone, but as a whole, were to build up businesses to some substantial level, right? What would stop the powers that be from pulling another event like they did with Black Wall Street, or going with the standard issued oldest terrorist activity or terrorist funding coming from these black-owned areas? What would stop that from happening?
Okay. The only issue that we had with the Black Wall Street was we had every type of store that we needed, with the exception of the gun store.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
Along with everything else, you have to have an economic code of conduct. And part of that economic code of conduct is that we physically protect our economy. Everybody else is out there telling you looters will be shot. Looters will be shot everywhere you go. Black folk don't have that mentality. But I'm telling you that in order to deal with these wild beasts, we better develop that mentality to subjugate and domesticate these wild beasts.
Now, will that work for us, though, when we start doing it?
Okay. If you have your phone on Bluetooth or something, or if it's up under your jaw or down in your pants, I need you to take it out or whatever, because you're really muffled.
No, I have full bars and it's a 4G connection. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I have it away from my face now. Hopefully that helps.
Try asking your question again, and I'll see if I can try it again.
Okay, so let's just say we get that mentality, do your business and get out, or move or be shot, as you said.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. All these slow kids in class tonight.
Will that work for us?
I didn't say that for all of you slow ADHD crack pipe babies tonight. I didn't say that. And you heard me telling you I didn't say that, and you wanted to keep talking. That's why I'm doing you like that. I did not say that. I did not say buy and leave, and I didn't say buy or get shot. I didn't say that. I said that we need to be able to physically protect our economy. That was what I said. You did not repeat what I said. Right. You said something fabricated that I did not say. I didn't say anything about shooting customers. I didn't say anything about shooting
going
anybody.
In and out. I can't hear you, even though I have a solid connection.
Well, let me help you not have to worry about that anymore. This is a problem. No, not at all. I said that we have to be able to protect our economy. That was what I said. I didn't say anything about buy or get shot. I didn't say that. I don't want foolishness to make it any amount of time. I didn't say that. I said we need to be able and prepared to protect our economy physically. Everybody else is able to. And yes, you are right. If you take a look at the types of phone calls that we get here, if you want to know why we're in the situation that we're in today as black people, there you go. If you want to know why we're in the situation that we're in, there you go. Take a look at these phone calls coming in. Are they prepared to compete? Do they even sound like they understand what the competition is supposed to be? Just saying. Caller from 901, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi, this is Tanya from Tennessee. I choose not to give my city, but I do have a quick
Tanya,
question for
without
you.
your city, I don't want to hear.
Called...
Tanya, without the city, we don't want to hear from you. This isn't the FBI. We're not here to play around. Nobody's coming to your house.
Okay, check it.
We don't even know where you are.
Problem.
If you
That's
can't,
no problem.
okay, if you don't want to give out the city that you're in, that's perfectly fine. But we're not going to play with you about that. You can't necessarily say that because you can buy a cell phone in one place that has an area code and take it across the country. So for these people who are on the run from the student loan folk or whatever, you got child support. Yes, there's a bunch of women with child support out there. For those of you who are hiding from child support or student loans, or you don't want the welfare office to come and investigate you for all them food stamps you stole, that's not really going to help you. Jason, why do you want to know what city that they're in? Because that gives us a backdrop and gives us necessary information from which their viewpoint is coming. So when I know specifically where you're calling from, that lets me know specifically where this perspective is originating. Because it might be valid, then again, it may not be. But yes, you can tell us what city you're calling from. Yes, you can. If you can't tell us what city you're calling from, then you got a bunch of personal problems that I cannot assist you with here on the phone tonight. So just go deal with those so you can actually make a phone call to people like a sensible adult. Caller from 610, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, this is Major from Media, Pennsylvania.
Major from Media, Pennsylvania?
Yes, it's right outside of Philadelphia, about 10, 15 minutes.
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
I just get very frustrated, especially from people in my generation who like to play silly. All this fake revolutionary thought. Listen, we know what to do. We got to get our money right. We got to get our credit right. If your money ain't right, if your credit ain't right, find somebody who lives right and just emulate the game plan. I just want to know what your feeling is on these contrarian type folks who want to argue all day.
I mean, they understand that we're all saying it's time for concrete action, and what this is doing is separating the real from the phony. It's separating the people who are actually going to do something from the... We're at a point right now where everybody who's going to get up and do what's right, they know they got to get up. And if you don't see them get up, they're going to start giving you excuses. They're going to start giving you fantasy talk. They're going to start giving you these liberation fantasies as opposed to a liberation plan. Now, he knows full damn well there ain't going to be no shooting revolution. He knows that. He knows we're not prepared. But he knows as a man that his self-esteem and his self-value has been destroyed. And biologically, he knows he's supposed to be doing something. So he feels inadequate because he knows he's supposed to be bringing to the table solutions. But he's inept, cowardly, and inadequate to do that. So instead, he's led to come here and speak. But he speaks about something he knows he isn't going to do. And he's offering that to us to say, will this qualify my manhood? He wants us to see if his liberation fantasy will qualify his manhood, and the answer is hell no, nigga. No. We don't take fantasies as currency. But they're coming to us to see if fantasy will qualify as currency, because they know what we're saying is the only way to get it done. But he knows he's not capable. So rather than suck it in and say, what do I gotta do to get capable? He's instead giving the prison dumb nigga talk. Well, you see, economics ain't the answer. You got to understand, only thing that these old racist bastards gonna understand is a revolution. That's what we got to do. Okay, and how are we gonna do the revolution without economics? Well, Nat Turner did it. How'd he do it? Sticks and stones will break my bones. And there you go. So he knows he's not going to do it. And when you ask him, it immediately falls apart. But he's intellectually a coward. And all he's got is he knows that the women and the children are expecting him to bring a real rational answer. And he neither has the courage, the scruples, nor the intelligence to present it. So instead, he finds a group full of men speaking the way men are supposed to be speaking. And he presents us with his fantasies. That's the reason why. And then they become heartbroken when we don't accept fantasy. Then they get heartbroken. It's like, wait a minute. And it's imperative that as black males, you got to understand, brother, it's imperative because we have let the cowards run the yard now for 50 plus years. We let the cowards run the yard for 50 plus years, man. We can't let that go on. We can't let that go on at all. Not at all. Absolutely not. We have to set the standard today and understand it's going to be an ongoing effort. It's going to be an ongoing effort. But we need to start right here to let them know that what we're saying, this is the new way. All that old coward mess y'all been doing, we don't accept that over here any longer. You're going to have to get on the good foot. You're going to have to get on the good foot. And if you refuse to get on the good foot, then we got to get rid of you. But he understands their pride is damaged because they know this is the kind of talk that they only hear in white society. So he knows that he's hearing the type of talk of empowered people, but he doesn't have an empowered vocabulary. So instead, he's resorting to coward talk. And it's hurting his feelings that we're not accepting coward talk. But we got to make it clear that coward talk is no longer a currency. And the way in which you saw me handle it tonight, which is, okay, tell me how we gonna win it. Well, what we're gonna do is that's coward talk. You can't do it. Well, what you see is, okay, bye. Because as black men in particular, I do this on the phone so I can illustrate to you what silly talk sounds like. But at the same time, I want you to have no tolerance for it in the offline world. I tolerate the garbage here so that you don't have to tolerate it in the real world. When you hear somebody talk like that, cut him off. He's not taking you anywhere. He's not taking you anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He's not going to get anything done. You'll be here in 30 years with him talking about this revolution and ain't coming. You'll be here 30 years from now, like these Negroes who are in and out of prison. They've been psychologically broken. In 30 years from now, he'll still be talking to you about how we need to strategize for the Well, I'm sorry. He didn't even say that we need to strategize. He just said, is revolution the answer? So even he doesn't have a plan for how he's going to get it done. And he knows that his credit is screwed up. He doesn't really have the tools he needs. And rather than do what a man is supposed to do and fix your damn situation. See, this is where white society gets it right with their movies and their media. Like movies like Castaway and Lost and MacGyver. Even though these are fantasized, they show white men put into bad situations, and what the white men do is they sit down and employ some imaginary ingenuity and get themselves out of their situation. Not resorting to fantasy, even though these are fictional stories, they're showing you white men doing concrete things. I'm going to build a boat. Okay, I'm here on this island. I need some food tonight. I'm going to sharpen a tree branch. I'm going to get real quiet and I'm going to make a fire somehow. They're showing you the steps. That movie, The Martian, totally fictionalized, but it gives you a fictionalized account of how a man could survive on Mars. In concrete terms, in a realistic, concrete way, that he's going to have to devise concrete answers, not hypotheses. Well, you see, if I could just build a rocket to get me off of Mars, but the other one blew up, so you're going to have to figure out how to survive here. Yeah, but what we really need to look at here is how can I make some rocket fuel? But you don't even have a rocket anymore. Yeah, but what would I need to do to build a rocket? You need to work on surviving until they come back for you. Yeah, but about that rocket. Now, he doesn't have the means. He doesn't have the means to build the rocket, and he doesn't want to do what's necessary to survive long enough to get rescued. His cowardice will not allow him to survive. We need to let Darwinism take its place. I'll let you have the last word.
I agree, man. Just keep shutting down these contrarians, these trolls, people that want to play. Keep knocking it down, man. Gentrification was gentrified. I saw that was in Atlanta. That was amazing. Race war, I saw that in Philly. That was also, man, killing it. Keep doing your thing. Be one.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from 773. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Yes, hi. This is Erica calling from Chicago, Illinois.
Erica from Chicago, what's on your mind?
Yes, what's on my mind is, number one, I want to greatly appreciate what you're doing tonight. I truly see that this is a topic that is needed for us as far as with group economics and how we could go right ahead and build, because a lot of us have not been taught that. And we can see that by the response or by the callers that just came in, especially those who want to talk about the revolution, but they don't realize that you need wealth that is backing it in order to advance forward. And not knowing that having a good credit and making sure that you have a healthy savings and you connecting to those who are really about action and moving forward. What I would like to address is that young lady from Michigan, I believe, who called in already swinging. That is not how you're supposed to talk to an individual when you call into their broadcast. So if that is the way how you act to someone that you don't know, I highly doubt that you have too successful business. When Black people say they have a business, they normally sell purses or something out of their vehicles or just sell weaves and wigs. Yeah, to me, that's a hustle. When I think of business, I'm think of me going to your actual location. You have inventory, you have a POS, and then you have your manufacturing location. You have your trucks that has your name. You offer employees with the 401k or insurance and things to that nature. So before calling in screaming, hopefully she is listening. She needs to know how to behave. And also, too, I really hate how some of our women just yell at Black men thinking that is going to help. Because me personally, I don't like it when people yell, and I'm so glad that you was able to basically put her on track and shut her down as well. As also, I'm sorry, were you saying something?
Nobody said anything.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. So I just want to say this also to the meme that you have showed of that. I'm switching gears. The meme that you have showed of that Caucasian lady who basically took a jab at Black women or Black feminists. I want to say hopefully this is a wake-up call for you guys, letting you know that you never had allies. This is why I get so upset with some of us who attack our men, but yet want to say you need to protect us. How can our men protect us when you have a mentality that you want to attack? That is not how we're going to work together. If we can't agree and work together on that level, how are we going to build each other up financially and to build wealth in our community? talk about Black Wall Street, but we have allowed that to die because we have allowed so much of the disunity, leaving the civil rights movement to join the feminist movement, kick your man out to accept welfare, and then you have a lot of, unfortunately, our Black men that went astray due to not having guidance in the household. How can we build? So this is a problem that we have, and it saddens me a lot. It be times that I want to give up, but I can't. The reason being is because I connect and listen to individuals such as yourself, those who are actually trying to build and to do something, and also continue to do my volunteer work in my community. So I just want to say, Mr. Black, continue to keep up this good work. I always enjoy listening to your show. And do know that there are some of us Black people who really appreciate what you're doing. Do not ever stop, even though you may have to deal with knuckleheads, so to speak. Black first.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that you listened to my broadcast. Thank you very much, my longtime listeners listening to the show. All right. Caller from 614. You're on live with the Black Channel broadcast.
Hey, I'm a first-time caller from, my name is Matthew Kelly, and,
where are you calling from, Matthew?
I'm living in, Atlanta, Georgia right now.
And what's on your mind?
Well, I was kind of late to your broadcast, man, and your program, and but the topic that you're talking about is something that I'm really going through, man. Like when I talk about the feminist things and anything pertaining to us Blacks, man, our women is the main one that's coming at like our neck. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna have to catch the beginning of the broadcast, the program that you just did, to catch what happened. But I just heard the couple previous callers what they said, and I'm going through the same thing, brother. So
I don't understand.
We definitely
slow
have
down. Slow down a moment. Let me find out a couple of things here, okay? Because here's the problem that we have. The problem that we have is I don't have a problem defending people if I know what I'm defending. You said I'm having the same problem. What exactly does that mean?
Well, as far as us laying out the foundation, what we need to do as a people to help each other out and progress, you know what I mean?
No, I do not know what you mean.
What to help our agenda as far as us Black people, you know what I mean? Like,
what's
for
that
instance,
got to do with women?
What's
that? You said that I'm going through this right now. What part are you going through right now? Exactly. I'm trying to find out exactly what's happening.
Well, I'm talking. What I'm saying is every time we try to put the message out for us or whatever, or we do what we can. Like for instance, my platform on Facebook or Instagram, I put out any type of energy or anything we need to do as Black people. As far as, like, for instance, like this example, the voting thing. The voting thing. I listen to you, Dr. Claude, and Tariq.
Okay, brother.
Y'all say,
brother.
Yes.
You do understand that, and I'm going to try to say this as politely as I can. I really will.
Mm-hmm.
If you communicate on your platform the way that you do here, that's probably the reason why you are not encountering the types of results that you would like to see. Because you've been talking for a while now,
right,
and I have no idea what your issue is or what you're trying to say. So, what I want you to do, see if you can try to take some time, gather your thoughts in a short, concise manner that clearly explains very quickly and very easily exactly what you mean, and then see if that helps people in the future to understand, okay? Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Yeah. Yeah, you can't talk in circles and nobody can really figure out what you're saying, and then he's talking about, yeah, because see, I'm running into problems with it. Brother, I don't know if I agree with you or disagree with you, but you ran into a problem here. Caller from 214, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi, Jason. This is Winston calling from Dallas.
Winston from Dallas, what's on your mind?
Want to thank you for your show. I hear some frustration in your voice. I want to share with you that I'm a small business owner, and one of the things that you have stressed and one of the things that you're trying to communicate on the call tonight is Black empowerment, Black economic empowerment, getting our money together, because if we're a poor people, we can't attack global white supremacy. With that said, I'm going to throw this out to our audience, and I'm open for criticism too, as anyone listens to me. But brothers and sisters, if you're easily triggered, like a lot of the callers on tonight's broadcast are, you will not be successful in life, not just business, in life. If you let Jason or anyone else trigger you like this, when you get in front of customers, when you get close to closing big deals, and you let your emotions get the best of you, you will fail miserably. So when you call in, I don't know how many times Jason says it, say where you're from and what is your name. I have never seen it so difficult for people to follow instructions. You're not clear, you're not concise, you're not to the point. If you want Jason's assistance, tell him on the front end what your dilemma is, and then he'll be able to address it. If you call in and start screaming and yelling and getting caught up in your feelings and telling him what you don't like, and it's his show, that's the irony. It's his broadcast. I apologize. It's his broadcast. So if he wants to talk about the man in the moon and bitches and hoes, that's his broadcast. So I'm calling to his house, telling him how to run his broadcast. Does anyone on the broadcast see how ludicrous that is? I'm calling into someone else's platform, telling them what they need to talk about.
Most Black people do not talk to communicate. They just talk to get attention. When all you want is attention, you don't want to be held responsible for what you just said. But most Black people do not speak for the purposes of communicating. When you speak to communicate, people will hold you accountable because either what you communicated properly conveyed information or you just babbled and you didn't. But most Black people do, when they open up their mouths, they are not speaking for the purposes of communicating. They're simply speaking for the purposes of being seen. And when that gets derailed and that doesn't go well, then all of a sudden you're the one with the problem. Amazing how that works. I'll let you have the last word.
That's all I have to say, Jason. Keep up the good work. Black first.
Black first, brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, most people don't actually speak for the purposes of communicating. They're just speaking because they want to be seen. They want to be heard. And this is one of the things that we notice, like with the screenings that I have for my films, I don't allow people to jump up just to be seen. When we had the gentrified screening in Atlanta, and this is always an issue whenever we take calls, whenever we take people speaking, this is always an issue. Always, whenever I have a screening and I allow people to speak, there's always an issue because there's always gonna be 2 or 3 of them, usually older Black males, but you hand them the microphone and tell them, what is your question? We got a limited amount of time, and the first thing that will come out of their mouths, it always happens. First thing that comes out of their minds is they start talking about, Thank you very much there. Now, what it is that I have, throughout my life, I am 64 years old. Soon as he says what his age is, we know he's about to try to give a sermon. We asked you what was your question, and he wants to give us his biography because he has not earned the right to be listened to. So what he does is he tries to go to a place where some black person has actually at least been able to get together a group of people. And the first thing that they want to do is say, okay, I'm so glad there's a group of people here. Now let me tell you all what I know. I'm so glad that Jason has gathered together a group of people so I can tell you all what I know. You need to understand, you all are wrong. You just think he know what he talking about, but I'm so glad you all gathered here today so I can tell you about what I have learned from my 65 years. And then when you ask him, okay, what did you learn? What I learned is that, and this is the part you really got to listen to here. What I have learned is how important it is to understand what's going on in the world today. And then it just trails off into that. Because when you don't understand what's going on in the world today, you're just going to be confused. You're just going to be messed up. You're not going to see what's really happening. So what do we need to do? We need to do the right thing. What is the right thing? The right thing is what we haven't been doing. Okay, what do we need to do? We need to love our women and love our children. And it basically goes off in this meandering, irrational, itchy and scratchy show style of madcap nonsense. With this guy as the out-of-control, irrational train conductor taking us on a trip to no damn where. I got 12 kids by 8 different women here. And what I've learned is how important it is to have assets for your kids. How important it is to love your kids. Did you give them assets? I didn't need to give them assets. Okay. I gave them something more important than assets. What did you give them? Love. I loved my kids. What did you do for your kids? I gave them love. Are your kids financially struggling? Financially struggling is a state of mind. Money ain't everything. That's the problem. Y'all listen to Jason Black. Yeah, that. Caller from 843, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, Jason Black.
That's me.
This is Arthur from South Carolina.
Arthur from where in South Carolina, sir? There must be a bunch of people on the run from child support enforcement or whatever. Nobody wants to say the city that they're in. I mean, is everybody on probation calling in tonight?
Ladson.
Okay, and what's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to harp back to an earlier point you made in the broadcast when you were talking about these white feminists and using black women and all these things. I mean, in my opinion, I think that most human beings only understand 2 things: rewards and consequences. And a lot of black people expect white people. I remember you said that we haven't really cultivated any white coons, so to speak. And I think a lot of black people are sitting around waiting for white people to have some kind of change of heart or have some kind of revelation and then suddenly start speaking up for us. They know there's no real benefit. No one's going to speak up for us because there's no benefit in doing so. And that's why we have this coon epidemic, because there's an actual reward system for being a coon. And since we don't have our economic game, that's why a revolution could never work, because what's the incentive? I mean, think about it. If, we're only 13% of the population. How much of that population do you think is actually going to participate in the so-called revolution? That's why that wouldn't work. I mean, there's no reward or punishment system that we have. That's why people call in with all sorts of nonsense, like they just go on their ramblings, is because in Black society, unfortunately, we allow this kind of behavior to take place. We don't check these people, and sometimes people can maybe view how you talk to the callers as harsh, but we kind of need that so that people would be afraid to sound stupid. We're not just entertaining people with their nonsense. They're not just going to sit there and ramble, and everyone's just like, well, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, no, not everything makes sense. We have to call things out. In other societies, like, Hispanic communities, Asian communities, the dumb amongst them are ridiculed and laughed at. They're completely mocked out of the room. And we don't do that in Black society. We allow the dumb to actually have a voice and speak. And because of that, we have this coon epidemic. We don't have any agenda. Everyone is fending for themselves. There's no way we can be on code when we have no way to reward or punish those. We have no way to punish those who do wrong, and we have no way to reward those who do right.
Well,
and that's why I think we have this problem.
As a group, yes, you're absolutely right. I've tried to do what I can. For the people who do come here,
90 seconds.
They get access to resources. They get access to knowledge bases. If they listen, they can get their finances together. But think about this for a moment. Think about this, from a female perspective. And this is something I have to talk about all the time here, that I've told you all before that the most important decision that a woman will ever make is the man that they attach themselves to. The single most important decision that a woman makes is the man that she chooses to attach herself to. And that if she chooses the wrong man, she could die. The consequences and the stakes are literally that high. If you choose the wrong man, you can die. Not at his hand.
Right.
I'm not saying at his hand, but as a consequence of you simply being alone and unprotected and not understanding that you need that protection. You need a partner. And when women, the reason why I am uncompromising with people who call in with silliness is because I want all of our people to lose their tolerance for that. Because life and death hangs in the balance. If you are a woman and you know why it's dangerous, and this is something that I really need to have a whole broadcast that focuses on this because it's worthy of an entire broadcast, but I'll say it right now. The reason why Black women dating dudes who are in and out of prison is a stupid thing to do is because that nigga, and I said it the way I meant it, will waste all of your best years in and out of prison, coming back to you with all this prison babble, jive talk, all of this psychobabble from his time behind bars, where all he can really do is fantasize, because once they got you on paper, they racked you with a felony. Now that's like walking around in a state of imprisonment. So this fella has perfected prison babble. He's perfected jail talk. And he comes home to his woman. He has no tangibles to offer her. So he is instead offering her his jail jive. He's coming to you with, thank you, jailbird jive. You're a grown woman and you need tangibles. You need a man who has accepted his position as protector and provider so that you can properly occupy your position as nurturer and partner. And he's bringing you jailbird jive talk about a bunch of psychobabble about how the problem is the Jewish ethno-state. And he's got no plan for how he's going to deal with this supposed Jewish ethno-state that's controlling things. Or the real problem is what happened in 1105. The real problem is the white man's religion. He's talking this woman's ear off because y'all got a kid because you're a slutty hood rat, but we'll come back to that later. Right now, I got to give the brothers this work. But you're sitting up here with a bunch of jive talk because this woman is telling you you got a damn kid and she's got damn rent and you got a car note and she wants to know what tangibles you gonna offer because I can't feed your baby this jive talk. And this is how a bunch of females end up being hoes. Because she doesn't really know, because she's a slut herself, but she doesn't really know what to do to get a producer. Now that you stuck with a baby, a producer, you're not really his first choice. You're not really his first choice, and that's not really what he's looking for. So now this fella got you with a kid and you're disarmed. But you know you need more. Your baby can't eat your damn anti-religious jive talk, even if everything you just said is true. Even if everything you said is true, and the problem was 7-Eleven, the problem was the Moors got kicked out of Spain, the problem is we should be Muslims instead of being Baptists. Even if all of that is true, explain to me how that puts food on the table tonight. What? Okay, you don't have to do it tonight necessarily. What is your game plan? Because 7-Eleven has been gone now for 800 years. What is your game plan to fix our situation? In which case, he doubles back to tell you that there is no situation. That the problem with you is that you're dependent on the white man's money. And that the problem is you need to understand that your addiction to the white man's money is the problem. You see, when I was behind bars, I had my eyes opened. And it took me 7 to 8 jail stints, but I eventually found the truth. And the truth is that you are a gold-digging hoe. Now understand, I'm being more like this. Well, understand, but I'll let you finish your point here, but understand while I'm being more blunt with it than he probably wouldn't say that last part necessarily, but in effect, that's what he's saying. You're talking to women and children who need tangibles while you're saying to them a bunch of crap you ain't gonna do. You're offering them a bunch of hypotheticals that you won't even act on. That's what makes it dangerous. And brother, one day it might be your daughter or mine or somebody else's that we know. And if our community, society, has a tolerance for this type of psychobabble, if we don't divorce ourselves from even having a tolerance to hear it, that when he starts this jailbird jive talk, that we don't immediately shut it down and say, you know what? I got other places to be. Baby, where you going? I'm going to go have sex with the janitor at the school. I'm going to have sex with the tow truck driver. Because if I'm going to get these draws up, I might as well give it up for a nigga that can change the damn tire. Because you don't even have a car with a tire on it to change. I'm going to have sex with the plumber. If I'm going to be a hoe, at least I'm going to be a hoe for somebody who can unclog the damn drain. Like the chick who called in last night. I I wasn't trying to embarrass her, be a slut, be a hoe, be whatever. Just be the best you can be. And if the best your hoeing can get is a nigga that's in and out of jail and got nothing to offer, that's a waste of wholeness. I'm not even going to run you down for it. That's just how far gone we are now. I'm not even going to run you down for being a slut. I ain't going to marry you, but I'm not even going to run you down for that. But if you're going to be a slut, be the best one you can be. And hanging out with Oswald Bates is not being all you can be. If you're going to drop the draws, if that's the only thing you got to offer a man, get some flat abs, get some silicone implants in your butt, and at least if you're going to bunk over, do it for a nigga that can do something for you and is presenting you with tangibles. And when enough women sit up here and say, you know what, I listened to Jason Black and it was tough for me to accept this, but reality is reality. I'd rather be the side chick to a fella that's got something than the main chick to a nigga that ain't going nowhere. So that's where I'm gonna be tonight. I'm looking at being the side chick to a fella that's going somewhere till I can graduate to main chick status. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit here being your number one chick when being number one don't mean a damn thing. I never went on a trip, never got a pair of shoes, never got $1. I was struggling when I met you. I'm struggling more now. And you don't have a pathway to get us out. All you want to do is get me with more kids and say that the white man's money, that it's worthless. You sure don't have a problem telling the food stamps and the welfare and the Section 8 to pay for your making children. So I'm supposed to have kids with you while the white folk provide and protect? No, I don't have any tolerance for listening. And if enough women sit up here and say, you know what, the fellas who are producing, I will openly say, yes, I'm his number 3. It's better to be number 3 to a fella that can provide than number 1 to a fella who can't do nothing. And the fellas who can't do nothing, when they realize that all they've got are unfulfilled erections, they'll start saying, you know what, I need to start doing something different. But so long as there are no consequences for his failure to produce, he's going to keep bringing you his jive talk. Because the consequence should be nobody sticks around. As soon as you start giving that jail babble, everybody leaves. The women run off. Nobody stops to listen. When that occurs, that people just start shutting you down and you can't get an audience and everybody's got to figure out some other place to be, you're either going to turn in on yourself and start talking to yourself. And by the way, that's where Skid Row is. A bunch of failures who didn't want to give up the jailbird jive talk. Now they're sitting on Skid Row jive talking to themselves. Tough reality, but it's true. They're on Skid Row jive talking to themselves because nobody else is going to sit there and listen to them run this pointless game. And all these other slums and stuff where you see black males walking around talking to themselves is because ain't nobody else going to talk to them. You let enough of them get stuck like that, and then you can just ask your man Donald, hey, do you want to get right, or do you want to be walking down the street talking to yourself? Because if you don't have any tangibles, I ain't going to talk to you either. Now, if that occurs, that's a consequence we can make very easy. But if you want to know why I'm such a hard ass about this, if you want to know why I'm such a hardliner, that's why. Because the women and the children are trying to figure out what they should trust and what they should believe in. And all they see is intangible job talk. I'll let you have the last word.
Right. And you know, what you just said, right, that, in my opinion, that pretty much explains the mindset of a coon in the sense that that's why we see this epidemic of bed wenches and coons, because, for example, like Candace Owens, what platform do we as black males have to put on a sister that's speaking truth? Right? Do we have the ability to broadcast her on a TV and get her voice out there? Or whenever we get a platform, do we just get on black women to twerk? Right? I mean, this is why we have the problem we do, because we entertain nonsense. As soon as we get a little bit of something we control, we're either ready to sell it out or we turn it into a big party, a big, just, it's like we have no code. And this is why we have people who call up with all this random babbling, because of course, when they're sitting behind bars, they cultivate their ability to fantasize, because that's all they're doing is just dreaming and fantasizing of a future that's to come. But when they get out, I mean, it's the same thing. They're just fantasizing and looking and dreaming and telling these women about things that are not here, but they have no tangibles, because this is the skill they cultivated in jail and whatever else they're doing. And we have to make a change. We have to build our economy. That's why the guy who called earlier, who said, "Oh, well, we can't, focus on economics because they own the money." I mean, obviously the guy has too much free time on his hands because he's starting to think of, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, we have to build an economy. We have to build a structure so that we can reward those who act in our interest and shun and punish those who entertain nonsense. And it's not going to change until we do that. And until we do that, we're going to see more coons. We're going to see more black people off code. We're just going to see more of this nonsense. And I thank you, Jason Black, because
I don't think you're going to see more of it.
Dr. Anderson, Tariq Nasheed.
I don't think you're going to see more of it, brother. I've said this before. You're not going to see more of it. Eventually, it's going to get to a point where we won't be seen or heard, because the end goal for us is not marginalization. Their end goal for us is extermination. So, no, you won't see more and more of it. Eventually, you'll start seeing a whole lot less, and then they'll be talking about us like they do the Native Americans. That's what eventually happens when you don't wake up. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, let me get from 708, you're on live with the Black Channel. "708, don't ruin things now. You're on live." Okay, 708 has been abducted. Oh, we had a good little run for it there. But no, I want you to think about this for a few moments here. If it seems like I'm a hardliner about it, there's a reason why. Because it's all fun and games until somebody starts talking about doing this stuff with your daughter. It's all fun and games until that happens. When it's your daughter that's happening to, and somebody wants to offer her jive talk and not tangibles, it's not so fun anymore. It's not something that's just innocuous. It's not something that you ignore. No, now let me just back up here. Some folks in the chat room are starting to get themselves confused. We have issues with that. It doesn't matter if you have a kid or not. The man that you choose is going to be essential. You're either going to choose somebody who is hooked on production, or you're going to choose somebody who's hooked on talking. That's what you're going to do. And it helps when you think about this in terms of your own daughter. That somebody's walking up to her and offering her his jail babble. That's what it's not funny anymore. It's not give respect anymore. What do you mean give respect? Give him an audience? No, don't give him an audience. Say, I gotta go. Right then, right there. We don't even need to talk about it. Once that occurs, we're done. I understand when I got somebody who's telling me that this is the game plan for getting somewhere, and then when you got somebody who's not really going anywhere at all. Not going anywhere at all. And they're in and out of jail. And by the way, this is why it requires a broadcast to do this with, and I'm probably going to do a broadcast of the business tomorrow. Maybe I'll do this on Thanksgiving Day. I don't know. Do you understand that when I say in and out of prison, I want to blow your minds right quick. I don't just mean the county jail or the state penitentiary. Mic drop. Mic drop. When I say in and out of prison, I'm not just referring to the county jail or the state penitentiary. Now that's something I want you to wrap your minds around. That might be a moment of being mind blown. But when I say that he's in and out of jail, I'm not just talking about the government facilities for detaining people. If this is a fella who has a habit of running from one place to another to avoid producing because he thinks he's going to get a record deal, if this is a fella who has these stints where he goes on these marijuana binges or drug binges or alcohol binges, and he's got a woman who she would do right if he were producing, he's going to be in and out of seeing you. And when he's run out of weed, or when this other woman is tired of him and realizing this is just another stint of him not doing anything, he's the same nigga you left the last time, he's going to come see you. That's in and out of prison. He's going to come to you with the jail babble. He's never spent a day in a jail cell, but he's coming to you with the jail babble. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, he wants he knows that you are expecting him to discuss the tangibles. He wants to hear you discussing the tangibles, and she wants to hear him discuss tangibles, and he's not going to do it. So now he's got to talk his way out of it. Try to talk his way into deflecting and getting her to put her attention elsewhere. All of a sudden, you realize that you are dealing with a jailbird who has never been to jail. Do you understand that? Just that quickly, you have found yourself wrapped up and entangled with a jailbird who has never actually been to jail. He's telling you that his weed habit isn't a problem. But when you say, okay, what tangible do you have other than weed? All of a sudden he's telling you you're a gold digger. Be like, nigga, I'm doing you a favor by even having a conversation with you. You got no gold to dig. And you let him sit there and squander your good years. You spent 5, 6, 7 years figuring, well, my looks ain't changed that much. 20 damn, next thing you know, you look up, it's 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 damn years later, and you are still having these circular arguments with him. You're still having these circular arguments about the same crap you were arguing with him about 20 years ago. And he hasn't moved. He's become the world scholar of conspiracy theories. Money isn't real. Fiat currency is a lie. Economics is a conspiracy. The Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds, the De Beers family. This guy can quote chapter and verse not of the Bible, but of Alex Jones. And here you are letting him do it. And when it's your daughter, that happens to, when it's your child, when it's you, and you've had tolerance for that, and years are falling off the calendar, decades are falling off the calendar for a revolution that ain't coming. For a revolution that isn't coming. For hypotheticals that aren't happening. For all these things, you're going to spend years letting that occur. Hell yeah, I'm a hardliner about it. Hell yeah, I don't sit up here and let that go on for any length of time. I want you to adopt a culture where you stop entertaining dead-end conversations. In the chat room, some of you are going off on crack pipe-induced meandering. I didn't say that it's all convicts, but it's most of them. Let's just keep it real. As a culture, you can name one ex-con that came out and changed drastically. I can name 10 that are in and out and ain't nothing changed. So don't try to act like that's not the culture. It is. If he's in and out of jail, he might turn himself around, but even for the ones who turn themselves around, I guarantee you, he has some stints where he was still giving you the jailbird babble. So let's just stop trying to sit up here and try to ease our busted, bruised egos. Maybe your uncle is finally off the pipe and finally staying out of prison. Glad he turned himself around, but let's just keep it real. Most of the time they were sitting there doing this stuff, it wasn't going nowhere. This is part of their culture. And I want you to lose any patience that you have for it. I want you to lose it. You're going to waste years of your life with somebody babbling at you, and he's got years to waste. Why? Because he ain't going nowhere. His tomorrow isn't looking any different, and guess what now? Neither does yours. Neither does yours. Just because he hasn't gone to jail doesn't mean he ain't in and out of prison. Just because he hasn't been to prison doesn't mean he hadn't picked up on jailbird babble. Don't sit here and fool yourself into believing that. When he has conversation after conversation, he ain't built nothing, it ain't going nowhere. He had a plan 5 years ago and you have seen no progress take place. Understand, you're getting played. Play tonight's broadcast, play it over and over again. I probably need to do a program about prison babble, jailbird babble, jailbird jive talk. I probably need to do a whole broadcast about that so I can dissect that in full. Maybe I will. Race War on DVD is going to be coming here soon. DVD and streaming will be coming here soon. Can't wait to release that. The 3-disc edition will be coming after that. Everybody who's been waiting for their perks and everything else, I know you've been waiting on that. Please, a little more patience. We will get that taken care of for you. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio program. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is absolutely uncompromising.